Hi, it's Doreen, and this is your annual card reading for the year 2017. I'm here in my office, and I've been getting a lot of messages about this year that I'm here to talk with you about because it's a discussion, not a monologue. And also we'll be working with the cards to lay them out for every month of this year and get insights. So I wondered if you had taken time to review the 2016 annual card reading because, these things, we do them ahead of time, and sometimes we don't quite understand what they mean until afterwards. But what we do know is that 2016 for a lot of people was very challenging. And a lot of that had to do with politics and their own personal experiences. Last year's reading, every card I pulled talked about the presidential primaries. And now looking back, we can see how much that made a big distraction and a lot of energy that was pulling us in different directions. So we are praying, of course, for 2017 to have a healing of the division that happened over 2016 worldwide, not just in America, and to get some insights. And we'll be taking some time to look at the cards. For this reading, I've been guided to pull one card for 2017 from the Mary Queen of Angels deck. For the year, we're going to be working, they told me, to get two identical decks of the Archangel Michael Oracle cards and put them together. So we have 88 cards here. And then at the end of the year, we're going to pull one card from the Jesus, Loving Words from Jesus cards, and get kind of seal this energy because of the mother and then the son for the whole year. So let's talk about some of the messages I've been getting. As you know, I have been a clairvoyant since I was a child, and it was kind of frightening for me because I didn't understand it. There wasn't the books and the teachings available to me that we have now. And so now I've put into context what was going on with me. A lot of the times I was seeing angels from a very young age, felt very different and alone and highly sensitive as a child, very often teased for being weird. And my angels were my closest friends. I would go in my bedroom and they would help to comfort me and help me to know that I was okay, that it's okay to be different. And then I would also see departed people who weren't relatives or friends that passed, just people who were attracted to a clairvoyant person, and that terrified me, and nobody else could see these people. So, it was something I had to deal with on my own. And then at night, this spirit guide of mine would take me to see the future and show me what my life purpose was. And then when I was 6 years old, as I was walking to Sunday school, church with my mother, I was spontaneously pulled out of my body, and I was looking down on myself on the sidewalk with my mother's hand. And I was told very clearly by a male voice, the same voice I heard that saved my life during the armed carjacking in 1995. And this voice told me, this is your purpose, this separation of mind and body. And then I was back in my body. I had no context to know what had happened, but this is how my whole life has been. I tried to fit in and be a normal person. I was a psychotherapist for many years, utilized my clairvoyance to help my clients, but ultimately have gone back to my basis, which is to serve God in whatever way I've been called to do. So I've been praying for this video for months now because some of the visions I've seen were frightening to me, and I don't want to bring any fear to this world. So I've been praying for solutions for some of the things that I've seen. And I'm here to tell you the truth. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I'm a super positive person, but I'm also super integrous and honest with you about everything that I get. So I'm just going to tell you. With my students, I teach them this technique called blah, which means be loving and helpful, blah, which means say everything that you see, hear, feel, and think during a reading. And I'm going to do that with you today. So let's go ahead and pull a card from the Mary Queen of Angels deck. And dear beloved, blessed Mother, we ask that you help us to get a touch phrase for this year. And what I do when I shuffle is I look for cards like this one that pop up. Okay, oh wow. So the card for 2017 is Truth. And so here we go. Now this is something, of course, that has been going on for a while, is there's been this disparity between the old guard and the new guard, or almost like the battle of the dark and the light. And during last year, it may have been for you even more glaringly evident that when you look at the media, you get usually 2 or 3 different versions of the same story. And really, we saw this in America with the coverage of the primaries. Depending on what newspaper you would read, you'd get a completely different slant and angle. Same with TV stations, radio stations, social media. So the question was always, what's the truth? Because there was all this really, really heavy-duty name-calling and accusations of all the candidates, and you didn't know what was really the truth. And so this card really goes back to the fact that God is omnipresent, meaning everywhere, including inside of you, in me, and everyone. And what that means is you have an inner truth detector. So when you're questioning, is this real or is this true or not, you go within and take a deep breath. And your body is the most accurate divination tool there is. Your body will tell you when something's true or not. You'll feel it. It clicks or it doesn't click. You'll get what I call angel bumps or goosebumps that tell you. You'll get tightened muscles that tell you whether something's the truth or not. Now, the question is, what do you do with this? So one of the visions, clairvoyantly, that they've been showing me with this coming 2017 year is I keep seeing American tanks on American soil. And I keep seeing martial law. And martial law is when the populace when the politicians and the law enforcement decide that the people are so out of control that they take a martial law stance and they control us completely. The martial law I see is because of rioting. And it goes back to this, that there's going to be a lot of anger about disinformation, fake news, whatever you want to call it, media manipulation, whatever. There's going to be a lot of anger about some of the racism, the environmental policies that come up. And there's going to be just 2 different sides. One side will be very, very strong, this is the direction we need to go. And then there'll be another side going, this is the direction we need to go. Every time that I've pulled cards for 2017, it's been saying the same thing, opposing goals where there's 2 different ways of trying to reach what every human wants, and that's to feel safe and loved and secure. And so there's going to be a scene coming up that reminds me of, if you've ever seen the play or the movie Les Miserables, where the students have an uprising, and it's a horrible battle, but it's also admirable because it's people standing up. So one of the things that they have talked to me about is to emphasize peaceful activism, that if you're upset of something in the world, there's peaceful ways to tell your voice without putting yourself or your family into peril. And so they include teaching others through love-based education as opposed to putting fear-based posts up on social media that just upsets everybody. Love-based posts would be suggesting, for instance, a boycott. If there's a corporation that's doing something you don't believe in, don't give them any money. I mean, that's something really peaceful and something that's very aligned and really makes a big effective difference. Petitions work. Signing petitions, creating them, posting them, that really works. Creating a way that's solution-based. So many times on social media, you'll see someone post a really compelling article about a problem, and you're like, yeah, that's a problem, but there's no solution given. So we want to be real solution-oriented this year. And how do you find solutions? Research can help you, talking to people who are those who you trust and admire. Prayer is a wonderful way, of course, to get divine solutions. Things are going to come up this year. One of them will be whistleblowing, continue to be a big part of this year, where you're going to have people who have secrets who are going to be revealing them. And then, of course, those secrets will be threatening to those who've got power and money, so they won't like it, so they will try to put down the whistleblower or imprison that person or say it's fake news. So we're going to get a lot of, this is true, that's true, no, this is true, that's true. So this card is absolutely perfect. Now, I don't want to upset you about 2017. It's going to be different than 2016. I think that Chinese astrology plays a role here. It's interesting. I don't claim to be an astrologer, but I do pay attention. And this year there's going to be a lot of celestial events that are major, about planets circling around the Earth very close and protecting us. And so one of the things I do know is that the rest of our galaxy and the universe doesn't want anything to happen to planet Earth, because not only do they love us, but also there's an ecosystem amongst the planets. So there's a vested interest in the other parts of the galaxy protecting our beautiful planet. And so we've got a lot of help. I've also been told by Jesus and Archangel Michael, who I talk to constantly every single minute, definitely every hour, and they've told me to say to you, we will create miracles that will come and help. And they've said there's going to be a lot of divine intervention, the equivalent of whistleblowing from heaven. And so they're going to intervene in the darkest hours. I hope it's the second coming. I don't think it is. I think it's more miracles being inflicted. And a lot of it has to do with you being a passageway for miracles. In Chinese astrology, let me back up to that. The 2016 was the year of the monkey. And wasn't it like that? Wasn't it like crazy monkeys in a circus just swinging from the chandeliers? I mean, the year was pretty crazy. So now we're moving into the Chinese year of the rooster. And so in Chinese astrology, what that means is that leaders, particularly male leaders, like a male rooster, will be sticking up their chest and crowing and boasting and bragging. And so what that is likely to unfold to be is threats between nations and continents. You know, I've got more arsenal than you do. I'm the ruler. No, I'm the ruler. And we've got some power-hungry rulers worldwide who will be playing a very dangerous game by trying to one-up each other. That's going to happen. And so what we need to do is have a solution and a plan in place. And there's a few ways to deal with this. One, again, is through prayer. I mean, it may sound like not enough, but it's really one of the more powerful things you can do. And so we want to pray not from a place of worry, but from a place of God's strength. And remember that God is the true ruler of not only this world, but of all matter, because God is the creator. And so God's love is the energy we want to be holding on to in this time. We want to be reminding each other, reminding ourselves that God is in charge. God's the president. God's the ambassador. God is the political leader in spiritual truth and has our back, loves us all unconditionally, without judgment. If you have a friend who's upset, one of the best favors you can do for them is to say, let's pray together. And it doesn't have to be religious. However you pray, however you appeal to a higher energy, and your higher self, call it source, call it universe, just pray without ceasing this year, you become a passageway for divine intervention and miracles to happen. Because remember that God knows everything and knows what we need, but because we have free will choices, we have to ask for help before they will come in for us to intervene. So be sure to ask for help a lot and then be open. Remember that praying is talking to God, but meditation is also hearing the answers from God. So you definitely want to spend time meditating. However it works for you. It doesn't have to be a formal or long meditation program. It could be going outside and gardening, or just going for a walk. It could be before you get out of bed in the morning, just keeping your eyes closed and saying, "Dear Lord, what would you like me to do today to help?" And breathing. And then remember, God speaks to us through our feelings, through our thoughts, through visions. That includes dreams that we get. Things we see with our physical eyes can be signs. Things we hear, including songs on the radio, or people saying something we needed to hear. So being open to receiving is such a big part of this. And one of the things that they've taught me is that this year, 2017, is where we get to put everything into practice that we've learned in our lifetime or lifetimes. Everything you've learned, all of your spiritual toolbox will be very utilized this year. And that includes you stepping into leadership to be a way shower to others who are afraid, who are angry, who are freaking out. One of the things we know as spiritual students is that judging has a very high price. In the Bible it says, "Judge not, lest you be judged." In the 12-step tradition it says if you point one finger at someone, there's 3 fingers pointing back at yourself. So be careful about judgments. Better to use discernment. Judgment means someone is good or bad, and that's all up in the head, and it opens you up for your own ego to come in, and you judge yourself, and then you lose confidence and self-esteem, and it may cause you to second guess following your divine guidance. Discernment, on the other hand, says, I'm attracted to this, I'm not attracted to that. And so it uses feelings, your body sense, to tell you when to go forward, when to retreat. Use your body. And we know that you're sensitive, and sometimes it's overwhelming, and sometimes you can't tell the difference between someone else's feelings and your own. But you know what? Being sensitive is the most important gift of 2017. And why is that? Because it's your truth detector. Truth. It helps you to discern who to follow, what to not follow, where to go, where to live, where to work, who to hang out with, who not to hang out with, what to read, listen to, watch, all of that. Your sensitive body gives you instant feedback, and also what to eat, what not to eat, what to drink, what not to drink. It tells you instantly. So one of the things you can do for yourself that's a big favor to all of us is to keep your body as clean and sober and detoxed as possible so that you're a finely tuned instrument that is like a crystal that feels. Because chemicals that we put into our body, they dull our senses. That's why we use them, isn't it? Because we don't want to feel. And Lord knows I've done that in the past. But as someone, I've been sober now since I think about 2003. It's amazing. Being sensitive is a gift when we start listening to the sensitivity and stop pushing it away. It does mean making some life changes, including staying away from harsh energy as much as possible. In fact, if you're highly sensitive, you may want to consider taking a negativity retreat. And what that means is just being away from any sources of negativity or harsh energy for even a day now and then. Maybe 3 days. Remember, Jesus used to go on 3-day retreats out into the wilderness to pray and meditate and come back refreshed and even more powerful and strong. So retreats like that could be possible. Maybe you want to take the whole year off of being in touch with news. You know, tell your family and friends, I don't want to know what's going on in this world because it'll just make me afraid. Please don't tell me about the politics. Please don't tell me who died. Please don't tell me about tragedies. And if there's something that needs to be told to you, it'll happen. You'll be so you'll be kept safe. God will tell you if you need to go take action. So that's one way to deal with 2017 energy, is just to go into what I call the bubble world. And in that bubble world, prayer, meditation, staying peaceful, staying happy. Some may call it naive. Some may say, oh, you're not doing your part as an activist. But let me tell you, if you already know not to buy from certain corporations and you are boycotting them and you're doing your best to walk your talk, staying away from the news for a little while, you're already doing what needs to be done. For those who are brave and see the news, watch the news, read the news, you could look at it as your divine assignment. Oh, here's what I need to pray for, you could say when you read about a news story. Here's what I need to do to get involved. Pray for what actions you can take to make it a better experience. I do want to caution you, though, stay away from anything that's resembling riots. I mean, just do not be involved with any public assembly where there's a lot of anger and chaos. It's not safe. Peaceful marches, check it out. Trust your body. Your body will tell you if you shouldn't be there or not. But definitely, for those of you who are truth seekers and truth speakers, we need you. But just be safe while doing that, okay? We don't need you to be doing any kind of heroics that put yourself in danger, because there's going to be some power things coming in this year where some of the leaders will want absolute power and resembling almost a dictatorship, and they won't like anyone who speaks against them. So we want to be smart. Just play it smart, okay? And I want to tell you that your soul is eternal. Nothing can harm your soul. You are absolutely an eternal being. And I hope I'm not scaring you with these messages, but again, it's truth. I have to tell you that this year coming in, it's a 1 year. If you add up 2017, it's a 1 year. Last year was a 9 year, which was about completion and about doing your job, doing your work. This year is about new beginnings. So it's about the beginning of a change. A lot of the changes, of course, it can be messy when you change things, change directions. And we're going to see that this year. We're going to see where, we're changing course, but to get there is going to be awkward and sometimes upsetting. So your divine guidance will take care of you. If you're used to being employed and that there's a change in your employment or you need more money for health care or something, your guidance will tell you what to do to have enough money, where to be safe, etc. It's one more reason to keep a clear and sober mind and check in with God continuously. Remember, God doesn't judge you. You don't have to be a perfect person to get God's help. None of us humans are perfect. God loves us. So I am shuffling the cards for the year now. So I'm going to go ahead and lay out these Archangel Michael Oracle cards. There's 2 decks, so there's a possibility we will get 2 of the same card for different months. And this is 3 cards, so I'm going to separate that. Go back to shuffling. So we have January. Now, let's go ahead and this one's February. And we don't worry whether they're upside down or right side up on these cards, because the intention is that whatever direction they are going is the direction they're supposed to go. And there's another clump. They're clumping for some reason. There's a lot of energy here, a lot of messages. And then once I get all 12 put down, I will go over what they mean. We will turn them over one by one. There's March. And so I do see weather patterns continuing for next year. I would say the only thing that you can do, again, is prayer and preparation. There's 2 cards stuck together here. And I wouldn't go into fear about weather. I would just have preparation, have your generator, your flashlights and battery, battery-controlled radio, food supply, water supply. I would just have supplies just in case, because they show me harsh weather. They do show me things continuing to happen like they have the last few years. Someone recently said to me, I'll be happy when 2017 is happy. And it really doesn't work that way, because we're in this world with a lot of egos. That's April. And the clashing of egos is just a part of this world of duality. You know, a lot of it is because we remember heaven, and heaven being such a blissful place. There's May, and we feel like if the world is peaceful, if there are no wars and all the children and the people are being taken care of and the animals are being respected and the environment's clean, then I'll be happy. You know, being happy is a contribution to making all those things happen. Your happiness is holy and is a favor you do to all of us. It doesn't mean you don't care when you're happy, you know, because your suffering doesn't help anyone. When you suffer, you are not contributing to world peace, you're contributing to the energy of negativity. So being compassionate is not the same as being bummed out all the time. I mean, we all have that reaction when things happen, where we might feel sad that someone that we admired passes on, or of course sad and angry about some of the treatment of people. But the sadness and anger doesn't help anything unless it's channeled in a positive way. These cards are really sticking together. So I'm looking for one solo card. June must be a big month because they're being very specific. Okay, here we go. Here's the card for June. Normally I would choose 2 or 3 cards, but these are sticking together in a different way. So something is going to be up in June, halfway through the year. And here's July. So let's see the rest of the year, what comes up, and then I'll turn these cards over. But again, don't put your, oh, look at that one, just popped right up. August, wow. Strong energy for August. Don't put your happiness and peace contingent on what's going on out here, because you'll never be happy or at peace then. And we don't need you to sacrifice your peace and happiness in some sort of memorial, you know, like a person who's in mourning their whole life. That doesn't help. You came here, darling, if you remember, because you were in heaven, you were looking at earth, and you said, my goodness, the people there need help. And so you talked to God and your guardian angels, and you said, can I help them? I know I can help them on earth. And they planned out a perfect plan for you to come here to help. And so that's your life purpose, is to help. And to help from a place of love, not from fear. So you have to do what you have to do, there's September, to stay out of fear. And help others to stay out of fear. That includes your children. We have to also take care of ourselves. We have, in a lot of ways, symptoms of being trauma survivors because of some of the incidences that have occurred personally and globally. And so you'll want to, with trauma survive, you have to be very gentle with yourself. And that means to be very aware of your environment, of people. That's November. Of the music you listen to. No harsh music, please. No negative lyrics. They just amplify that negativity. Listen to peaceful, relaxing music, or music that's got positive lyrics. You know, there's things you can do for that. I always listen to Spa Station or gentle Christian music. You know, something that's uplifting. So there we go. There's the year. And dear God, dear Lord, please give me clear guidance that I can impart to everyone who's part of this video as to the meaning of these cards. All right, here we go for January. Okay, shield yourself comes up first. And so what this means, and this has to do with the presidential inauguration in January, and it's worldwide. It means shield yourself, don't go into fear about it. It means that there's going to be a lot of harsh energy. Remember, we've still got Mercury retrograde going into January. A lot of people are tired physically and emotionally from the holidays. They show me a vision of some sort of tragedy happening also in January. I feel like this is from people. And then they do show me a natural tragedy as well, which would be like a earthquake, tsunami, bad storms. So January is going to be from the outside perspective, tumultuous, this will require you being spiritually strong. That's why you're here. That's why you can't go home to heaven early, because your assignment's not done yet. When your assignment's done, then they'll let you go back home. In the meantime, we're here to help. That's what we signed up for, you and I. Forgive yourself for doing that. This is going to be the year where the rubber hits the road, where you get to take out every spiritual guidance and tool that you've learned, including shielding. So how do you shield yourself? You ask, or you envision whoever you're aligned with spiritually. So you can ask God to put you in a bubble of light that only love can permeate, because you don't want to be disconnected from love. So you make it porous with your intention that love can go into it and out of it, but nothing else. You can visualize color around you. Like imagine you're in an eggshell of royal purple, which is a high vibrating color. And you're in this eggshell of royal purple, and it feels comfortable and safe, and it bounces away any negativity. Okay? And if you hold the intention of it being porous, then love can come through it, and love from you can go to others. So we're going to shield ourselves for January. And remember, you're not alone with your feelings. We're all going through this together. And this is something that we will survive, and we will learn, and we will grow from. So let's take a look at February. Oh, I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Decide to be happy now. So this is one of the greatest spiritual lessons. And I actually heard this from Archangel Michael in meditation probably about 15 years ago. I was told by Michael, be happy no matter what's going on around you. And this is again that same life lesson, that if you put your happiness contingent on the politician that you wanted to be elected, or that people will behave in the way you want, that's not spiritual teaching. That's codependency. That's being controlling on our part. If the world was peaceful, you and I wouldn't be needed here right now. We could be back home in heaven, playing with the baby animals and smelling the flowers of heaven. But we chose and elected to come here to be of help and service. And you want to learn how to be happy, because that's keeping your heart open. If you go into fear, your heart closes. And your heart is a window or a portal of the love of God, the unconditional love that you remember in heaven, coming through your heart and helping others. So the worse it gets, the more you need to open your heart up. The more mean people are to each other, the more you need to open your heart up. The more crazy people are, remember, they're being driven crazy by fear. And so you pouring more fear on it just puts gasoline on the fire. So you want to pour happiness, peace, and not from a fake place. You want to be real. So how do you find that positive, happy place in the midst of chaos? You have to detach. This may be where you turn the news off. This may be where you walk away from social media or hide posts that are inflammatory. Because remember, there can be manipulation in the media too, trying to get us to riot so that certain people will be taken away, and there's the martial law. So we don't want to fall for that manipulation of getting into the anger that's stoked by news reports. What we want to do is we want to be the peaceful warriors. And you go into prayer and you just pray your heart out. I'll be like this sometimes. God, dear God, Jesus, Archangel Michael, help me, I'm upset. Help me to find peace in this. Help me to find solutions. And the strength is given to me. And it's given to you because we're all the same. We're all equal. Let's take a look at March. Okay, March, a favorable outcome. And one of the things that he's showing me is the scales. And so there's going to be some concession. So what it looks like is there's going to be like a giant reality show, which is no surprise, where there's going to be this buildup of, oh my gosh, it's horrible. And then whew, it'll be resolved. And then you'll think, well, why did I let myself get upset in the first place? Well, one of the reasons is because, and I wrote a whole book about this called Don't Let Anything Dull Your Sparkle. Once we get traumatized, our whole brain system actually shifts, our body stress hormone balance changes, and we start to get hooked into drama. We start to think that feels good and natural and right. And we're addicted to drama. And it's one of the reasons why people who have been traumatized get bored very easily, get restless very easily, because they think, oh, there must be some danger I need to look for. So if you look for it, you're going to find it, but it may not be real danger. So it shows from January to February and March a roller coaster. So do you want to ride that roller coaster? Is that really the kind of excitement that you want? Or do you want to be a part of something more meaningful, like building an infrastructure from peace? Because while everyone's distracted over here, you could be the one who's building a sustainable community, that's starting an organic co-op, that's doing healing work for people, or finishing your book, or doing speeches, doing prayers for all of us, starting a new line of organic products that are helpful for babies, something like that. How are you going to spend your time is the question. Are you going to get hooked into the drama that wears on your nerves and brings down your energy? Or are you going to say, you know what, I'll pray for this, I'll do as I'm guided to do. If you want me to take action, tell me and I'll do it. But in the meantime, I'm going to work on this over here. How's that sound to you? That's where we're going. Let's take a look at April. That's my birth month. It says your children are watched over by angels. Now, I have to be honest, my first thought was that this is a sign of war, that children were going off to war. I'm giving you my first hits, I'm being honest, but the meaning generally of this card is that if you're worried about your children, remember that prayer is the best way to handle that. When my son Charles, who he co-wrote the Indigo cards and the Indigo book with me, was a teenager, he was very, very intense in his choice of activities that he would do. He was kind of a daredevil with his friends. And there were nights where I would wake out of sleep and I would just start praying for him. And he would tell me the next day about some activity he'd been involved in that was very dangerous. And at the moment I was praying, he stopped doing it. So prayer, God and angels watching over your children. And that includes if there is a war at that time. Remember that God has promised divine intervention if we ask. So we're going to be praying like crazy. And you don't have to be religious. So if you've had your prayers not be answered before, let me just take a moment and say, sometimes we pray for a person to live, and then they don't live. And some people get mad at God and they lose their faith over that. Well, the reason that it happened was because God respects everyone's free will choices. And that person who was sick or injured had a choice to go home to heaven. And their choice may have been to relieve possible suffering of their loved ones for caretaking for them, or they found that their purpose has been done. Maybe their purpose was to start a spiritual path for his or her survivors. Also, if you've prayed for money for yourself, God's not Santa Claus who comes down the chimney with a bag of money or other goods. What God does is infinite intelligence gives us ideas. So you pray for more money, you get an idea about a business to do or some place to work. And if we don't do that action, it seems like our prayers aren't being answered, but they are. The ideas are what give us that roadmap to answer the prayers with God. So please, if you've lost the faith, think back at what happened and see, now, was I playing a part in that instead of blaming God? And I know some religions have things that are really messed up, but please don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, which is a phrase that means don't give up on God just because someone in a religion is doing something you don't agree with, okay? God is all and is so needed right now in your life. So please, please return to connecting to God. Let's take a look at May. Okay. I love this. So February, and May, same cards, because we have 2 decks together. So again, this is the theme of 2017, isn't it? Is that inner resources, God within. God's everywhere, including in your heart, in your emotions, in your life. We can romanticize suffering. We can feel sorry for ourselves and nobody loves me. We can do that. But that's not helping anything. What helps is to say, you know what? I'm going to be happy right now. I'm going to feel good right now. And that's my contribution to the world, is to be at peace. And if I'm guided to do some other action, God will tell me. Now let's take a look at June. I told you that I have angel bumps with this. Go forward fearlessly. So this has a dual meaning. One is activism. That's the first hit I got. Activism of you being a leader, you stepping up and taking charge. Even if you haven't been a leader before, even if you're shy, or you don't have self-esteem or self-confidence, have God confidence. You know, have the confidence in God within you, and God giving you the promise that if you're given an assignment, you will be given everything that you need to enact that assignment and make it real. It's also about going forward fearlessly with your own life. Again, no matter what's going on around me, there's going to be chaos, you're going to see suffering, but you've got to do what you came here to do. So if you're guided to write that book, do that healing work, do that art project, go to school, whatever it is, move, trust in God is what this card says. And let's take a look at July. Yeah, there we go. Believe and trust. So I love that this year, sometimes tragedy brings people closer together. And I see this happening. I see the division that's going to be at the start of the year, where people are like liberal, conservative, Green Party, all this label making. I see it coming together in tragedy. And I also see you coming together with your inner self and your higher self. I see chaos and tragedy creating this beautiful environment of trust in God within. So remember, if God is everywhere, that means you're one with God. There's no part of you that's not with God. It's impossible to be separate from God. Let's take a look at August. This card came up really quick. Explore your options. This card usually comes up when it's assigned to leave behind a harsh situation. So where you work, who you live with, relationships, your lifestyle. And see how the horse is galloping, or it's a unicorn, it's galloping. You want to do this quickly. So it's a card of strength, coming from that place of strength, even if you don't know how you're going to make this change, even if you don't know how you're going to support yourself or how it's going to come about. It's not an impulsive card, because this is something you've been wanting to do for a while, but it's you taking care of yourself in a big way. And a lot of this reading is about self-care that leads to other care. So let's take a look at September. Life purpose comes up very, very strong. And so what they're saying is, what's going on in September, what's around you, that's your life purpose. A lot of people think of life purpose as, oh, I have to have an advanced degree, or I have to be published, or I have to have a healing center. Those can help. Those are tools for life purpose. But they're saying in September, take a look at what's around you that needs help. Your family is going to come up really strong in September as needing your help in simple ways. Spending time with elders, holding someone's hand, taking them shopping, being a good listener, taking them to a spiritual group or church or temple to help them with their spiritual practices. Just you're going to be working with selfless service in September. You're going to be giving and helping a lot. And they show the planet in the angel's arms. So this is world healing. So I do see there's going to be some sort of celestial event, like a supermoon or something going on in September. Very strong celestial energies. But I also see organized group prayers going on for the world. And I feel like it's to heal something that just happened, and also to make sure that it doesn't go forward with something that's outraging a lot of people. So Spiritual power. I'm telling you, it's going to be quite a year. We will survive, though. In October, you may feel conflicted, undecided, confused. That comes up very strong. Archangel Michael message, take your time with this decision. They're showing me that as we get to the end of the year, you will be offered an opportunity, and you don't need to impulsively say yes or no, but to pray on it. In fact, you can tell people that. Let me get back with you on this and take your time. They're showing me that a lot of artists, including writers, will be submitting their works to publishers. October's a good month if you've been rejected. It's not rejection of you or your art, to self-publish. It's coming up very, very strong for October. Self-employment comes up very strong. But again, take your time, do your research, get a business plan, meditate on possible partners, how that might play out, and be good to yourself. When we get to November, oh, I love this. This situation is already resolved. Now, this is a spiritual healing truth to be aware of, is that when we're praying for something, there's two ways to pray. One is a prayer of supplication. Supplication is where you're begging God to fix something. You want to make sure if you're doing that kind of prayer, please God, please, 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 that you don't tell God how to solve it. You don't hand God a script, in other words, because is not how it works. The infinite wisdom of God, all directions, all dimensions, sees the best solution that we can't see through our three-dimensional thinking. So we don't want to say to God, I'll quit my job and be a healer if you have me win the lottery. Doesn't work that way. What it works is, dear Lord, please show me how I can help the most, and thank you for supporting me. So that second type of prayer is an affirmation prayer. So supplication prayer is begging. That works as long as you don't tell God how to help you. And then an affirmation prayer is thanking God ahead of time for the help. So thank you, God, that this situation is already healed. And knowing that in spiritual truth it already is, that reveals the healing. So in November, we use our spiritual resources to affirm this world is already at peace. Our political leaders have already learned their spiritual lessons, that the key to happiness is not through acquiring more power or more land or more money. That's not the key to anyone's happiness. For the leaders to be truly happy, they also have to connect with God within and follow their guidance. And so we affirm that the leaders got this spiritual message. To the degree that their free will choices are affecting you, you can ask for intervention into their free will choices. Did you know that? There's an overlap there. Same with anyone you know or live with. To the degree their free will choices affect your free will choices, God will intervene into that overlap. So let's take a look at December. Wow. Guarded and protected. Again, even if there is this big war, in the end, you and your loved ones are guarded and protected. Your soul is eternal. By listening to your guidance, you're kept safe. You'll be told where to go and where not to go inside, and follow it. Follow your inner guidance. I can't emphasize that enough. And the more you can keep your mind sober, away from chemicals, the more you will hear their guidance. If you're guided to change your diet, that's a part of hearing the guidance of God. Remember, hearing it's not really hearing, it's feeling the guidance. Sometimes you hear it. Like during my carjacking, I heard that voice who saved my life. It was Archangel Michael, I'm sure. So let's really support each other by knowing that we all are in this together. We all feel the same way. We all feel that same energy as we go into this new year, a trepidation. But it's your assignment. It's why we're here. And we're going to do this by holding each other's hands and holding the hands of God and Jesus and Archangel Michael. And we're going to grow from this. We're going to go through this. We're going to go, wow, I have no doubts about God. Wow, I believe in miracles. Wow, I know that I am strong and that I can do anything. And then when we get to 2018, you're unstoppable because you've gone through this boot camp of 2017. So please don't shy away from it, but do play it safe. Do be wise and do a peaceful work, okay? Make it peaceful. And now let's take a card from the Loving Words from Jesus cards. Dear Lord, what message do you have for us for this year? Okay, this card came right up. Is it 2 cards? Wow, 2 cards. Okay, we'll take that, Jesus. All right, so the first card is, peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you. So how beautiful is that, that Jesus has promised us that his peace, the peace of God, is with us always, and we never have to worry that we'll be away from that. And look at this. Pray always. Please pray. When you pray, you help us all. Pray in your own way. Pray from love. Pray from peace. And let's pray together. And I'm holding your hand, so hold my hand. Hold the hand of everyone in this world who's watching. Dear God, dear higher self, Holy Spirit, dear beloved Jesus, dear Mother Mary, dear Archangel Michael, and the guardian angels of God who are with each and every one of us, we thank you for this opportunity to gather and to connect with each other through this video. We thank you for helping us to know that we are all one in spiritual truth, and that includes our political leaders and corporate leaders. May we look past anger and judgment and frustration, and please help us to heal our thoughts about them and help to lift them up to you, O Lord. Help to bathe them in your divine light. Help to purify them. Help to purify all of us away from our egos and into our higher selves that's one with your infinite mind, God. Please help us all to take our actions from that place of divinely guided wisdom. Let's not make any choices without first praying and checking in with God. Please help us, God, to have that strength and that courage and confidence in you and know that we can deal with anything that happens. Help us to know that we are safe in spiritual truth, that you made all of us and our souls eternal, loving, lovable, wise, intelligent, creative, and immortal. Please help, God, that everyone's needs are met fairly through this year. We ask that you help all of the children of the world to keep hope and innocence in their souls. Please help all of us to have enough food, clean water, medical care, shelter, and please help everyone of every race to be respected. Please help this world to be a part of unity. We ask that you watch over those who are peacekeepers. We ask that you watch over the whistleblowers. We ask that you watch over those who speak up in the name of truth and peace and help to keep them safe. We ask that you help this world's environment to stay clean, to be cleansed. Please help the awareness about environmentalism to go from the populace to those in charge, and help us all respect the environment. Please help all of us to respect the animals. Make this the year when people decide that they are going to see animals as brothers and sisters instead of objects. Please help this be the year when these hard-won spiritual lessons help us all to come from a softer, gentler place of compassion for ourselves and for each other. And if you have prayers for this year, now would be a wonderful time for you to say that prayer along with everyone who's watching. Please send energy to all these prayers. Dear Lord, please hear and answer our prayers as you always do. Please help us to clearly hear, feel, see, and know the answers and guidance that you're giving to all of us. Please give us the courage and the confidence to not only notice your answers, but to believe that we can enact them and that we must enact them. Please help all of us to no longer procrastinate our life's purpose, thinking we need more money first or more confidence first. Please help us to just do the action as you guide us, knowing that we'll be supported as we do the action, not first supported and then the action. Please help everyone watching to know that no matter how old or young you are here for a reason, and you make a positive difference. And you speaking up and being a leader of love helps us all. So God bless you, my family member. And I am sending you so many prayers, so much love and optimism. Please keep the faith. Keep the faith in the goodness that's within every person. And as we see the goodness within everyone, including leaders who are doing outrageous things, we just see that goodness with them. We love the hell out of them, is what we do. We love the darkness out of them. We shine that light through your open heart onto everyone and everything, and know that you and I and this planet and our future are in God's hands. And God makes no mistakes. God loves you unconditionally. Please love God. Please return to God in your consciousness and in your prayers and your actions. And watch what happens. Miracles for all of us. Lots of love. I'm Doreen Virtue, sending you angel blessings.